Well, this one took its sweet time, but we finally have an announcement to say that Enzo Maresca is confirmed as the new Chelsea manager. He's going to be charged on a long contract with taking Chelsea forward into this new era. And it's been a bit crazy, hasn't it, really, since Abramovich went out and Todd Boehly came in. They've gone from, was it Tuchel to Potter to Pochettino and now to Maresca. And this weird kind of business model of spending a lot of money on long contracts for very young players. It's not something that's ever really worked or that we've ever really seen in terms of how to balance out your squad. But Maresca is going in there. A lot of people are going to look at this as if Chelsea have replaced Mauricio Pochettino with Enzo Maresca. It's not quite that simple, is it? Because I think you've got to draw a line between the two things, and they've clearly fallen out with Pochettino, and he doesn't want to work specifically in this structure. And job A, out goes Pochettino, and then it's find the best guy. And it turns out that that's Enzo Maresca, who won the second tier, the championship with Leicester City last season. In he goes to a club that, I mean, even slightly before the Abramovich era, they were mobilising and winning cups in Europe and towards the top of the Premier League. But since the Abramovich era, Chelsea, trophies, title challenges. That's the deal. That is the expectation. That's simple. Pochettino couldn't produce. Quite close in a couple of the cups, weren't they? Final in the Carabao, semi in the FA Cup. But sixth position in the Premier League and a long way off the actual title race. So the expectation straight away in season one, despite a long-term contract for Enzo Maresca, is going to be higher than sixth and get your hands on some kind of silverware. That's what we're expecting from Chelsea. We'll see how it pans out. Enzo Maresca then, obviously, studying the Championship, I've had close eyes on him. And it's a bit weird for someone, if we take the Parma stuff out of the equation, for someone whose career, certainly in English football, has been one season and 97 points and a title win. It's interesting how many asterisks people seem to have against Maresca and sort of questions they ask about him. Let's get into the complimentary stuff first. That he went into Leicester, completely rejuvenated the squad after relegation, a little bit mardy, bit miserable. Mattheson and Barnes goes out. Some new players come in, specifically Mavididi and Hermansen, Winks, right through the spine of that team. And he wins the title. He changes the way they play to this very specific kind of, it's like a 3-2-5 in possession with the fullback going into midfield. Quite slow, very heavy on possession, and certainly took the natives at the King Power a while to get used to it. And that's one of the asterisks that comes up against him. That's probably the most unreasonable one, I would say. Is it that entertaining? Is it overly methodical, overly pragmatic? I guess that's a matter of taste and, you know, what you want from your football when you're watching. Frankly, most people just want to win. And he won most weeks. Bit of a slip up. I think it was 10 points in 10, 6 defeats in 10 during the run-in. But Leicester still got over the line. And let's be fair, 97 points is 97 points and is damn impressive. It lost on the final day, didn't they, to stop getting the 100. A couple of the more reasonable asterisks are A, that if you have any knowledge of the Championship, you'll know the massive inequalities and cliff edges, and that, yes, you're doing a job where you have A, way more money, and B, way better players than everybody else. So I guess the expectations fairly reasonably are that if you are Enzo Maresca, you get promoted automatically, or you're in the automatic chase and winning the playoffs, or if not, missing out very narrowly on promotion. So he delivered on that, but that's the deal, isn't it? The other thing is the financial stuff, whereby obviously this squad that Leicester have got promoted with was built by breaching FFP in the Premier League, and then Leicester were out of jurisdiction and decided to kind of wriggle away from anybody being able to employ any sanctions, whether that be the EFL wanted an approved business plan, which may well have meant that spending 10 million on Harry Winks or 6 million on a keeper, or was it 7.5 for Stefan Mavididi, that probably wouldn't have been allowed. And maybe bids for the likes of Dewsbury Hall, maybe Ndidi, or I don't know, insert a saleable asset at Leicester who helped them in their promotion, James Justin, those sort of guys. Maybe they would have been obliged to sell them, but that didn't happen. And I suppose it's not really a mark against Maresca as such, more against Leicester, the club. So Maresca's going to come in at Chelsea, and if anything this season that's happened is to go by, then we will expect sort of 4-3-3 shape out of possession and a fullback going into midfield, and trying to basically get your row of 5 attacking and everything squeezed up. And I've got to say, at times when it was really working well in the hustle and bustle of the Championship, Leicester, very, very impressive. Where does that all come from? It comes from working with Pep Guardiola. There you go. I've gone 6 minutes without mentioning the GOAT manager, Spanish elephant in the room, Pep. And you tell me in the comments, some people will probably argue that on the CV of Enzo Maresca, the thing that Todd Boehly and Chelsea are more attracted to, rather than, you know, a apprenticeship at Leicester in 97 points, is probably the Manchester City stuff where he was the coach or an assistant, certainly high up on the staff with Pep Guardiola. And then, of course, there's the links. People will argue, well, that's what Arsenal did. They took a Pep Guardiola staffer. Okay, there's a difference because Arteta had an elite career in the Premier League playing with Everton and Arsenal, and therefore obviously had a link with Arsenal as well. But you tell me, I don't know what is going to be considered more valuable to Premier League owners at the moment, a link to Pep Guardiola or a decent job of work done in the Championship. It's going to be very, very interesting. We know Chelsea can be a basket case. We know the patience that Maresca got by basically winning all of his first games pretty much up until September, October in the Championship. And that advantage of, look, he's going to have better players than most at Chelsea, but not in terms of the latitude you get as well. 46 game season, 38 game season. This ain't Kansas anymore, Toto. Certainly when you're comparing working Leicester in the Championship and Chelsea in the Premier League. I think there's something there for him, but he's got to get off to a good start. The fans have got to buy in. The players have got to buy in. And I hate to be that guy in the first 3 months, else you know what's going to be happening. We're going to be on this channel talking about Enzo Maresca being replaced this season. And I don't want to see anyone lose their job, and up-and-coming managers, especially ones that have come out of the EFL too. Let me know how you think Maresca will go at Chelsea. And there is another side to the coin here, which is Leicester City. And look, I'm an Ipswich fan, and we were horribly worried that the manager who took Ipswich from the Championship was going to be pilfered. And that's what's happened to Leicester. Slightly different. It's not a double promotion with Leicester, where you think, oh, they're literally only there because of the manager. That was very much the case at Ipswich. Leicester, Premier League infrastructure, 8-year run. They won the damn thing, for God's sake, didn't they, as well? Far more used to being up there, but still not ideal to lose your manager on the eve of the season. Look, it's not the eve of the season, is it? But you know what I'm saying, in the aftermath of a promotion. So it'd be interesting to see what Leicester do, especially considering the fairly unique setup and style of play Maresca has developed and integrated at the King Power. We are expecting some chickens to come home to roost as well. In terms of that FFP breach, if Leicester's argument last season, which was a successful argument, was that they were out of jurisdiction, they're not out of jurisdiction anymore. And I suspect there's going to be a conversation with the Premier League higher-ups about sanctions for the FFP breach. We think there might even be another one coming for this past season in the Championship. It's going to be a tricky job for whoever takes it. Let me know your thoughts. It's going to be a tricky job for Maresca at Chelsea. How do you think he does? How are Leicester going to go without Enzo Maresca? Who do you think they should take as the managerial merry-go-round, easy for me to say, continues to spin.